Welcome. This is going to be my top 10 favorite NES games. Now, before we get into the list, I want to first start off by saying that I was born in 1989, which means by the time I started playing games, which was when I was like 3 or 4 years old, by the way, the Super Nintendo had been out for a few years. But with that being said, the NES was my first console I had ever played. And games like Super Mario Bros. 3 and Tetris are like the first games I ever played in my life. Or at the very least, the first games I ever remembered playing. Now, why am I bringing all of this up, you might wonder? Well, to get right to the point, even though the NES was my first console I ever played, my parents, who are the best parents in the whole wide world, my parents quickly got me and my brother and I, a Super Nintendo, not too long after I started playing video games at such a young age, 3 or 4. So what does this mean? Well, basically the NES was out and the SNES, the Super Nintendo, was in. So my point is, while I had a decent amount of NES games, there were many classics I never got a chance to play. Because I was 4 years old, 5 years old, and I can only play what my parents buy me, so games like, I don't know, I can't think of a lot of classics right now, but the big two classics that I never played as a kid are Metroid and The Legend of Zelda. They are two of the classics I never got to play as a kid. But with all that being said, I think people will still think this is a pretty good top 10 list. Respectable. Anyways, let's start the list. Number 10, Tetris. Tetris. Yes, Tetris. Why Tetris? Because look, shapes. It's fun. Puzzle game. Tetris is great. Now, I feel like a lot of people would say, Tetris at number 10? I'm not even going to watch the rest of this guy's video. But you know what? You're being a big meanie. Because Tetris is fun, and it was a good puzzle game, and it's the best. There's so many iterations of Tetris. There's a Tetris on cell phone. There's Tetris on every game console imaginable. But this is the Tetris that started it all, and is still the best, and still holds up the best today. So that's why it's my number 10. Number 10, Tetris. Number 9, right? Number 9. Number 9 is Doki Doki Panic. Doki Panic. Wait, what? Ha! Doki Doki Panic. Joke! Number 9 is Super Mario Bros. 2, the US version. I know most people know this, but there are some that don't. Super Mario Bros. 2 actually wasn't Super Mario Bros. 2. It was a game called Doki Doki Panic in the Japanese version. The real Super Mario Bros. 2 thought that Americans weren't good enough at games to play the real Super Mario Bros. 2 because it was hard. So instead, they took the game Doki Doki Panic and put Mario characters in it and called it Super Mario Bros. 2. And it's fun as hell. So that's why it's my number 9. By the way, how much time does it say on that?
5:03.
Oh, we have plenty of time, folks. I can do a little dance here. I'm doing my top 10 NES games. Okay, back to the list. Number 8, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. And Shane, by the way, I can't believe you did not guess this. I gave you all the hints in the world. Shane's my brother, by the way. Love him to death. But yeah, one of the first beat 'em ups I ever played, possibly the first beat 'em up I ever played. I don't know, but I'm going into a segue. No, I'm not. Never mind. Sorry. Excuse that. Double Dragon 2 is a very fun game. It's beat 'em up. You go from left to right and you punch a bunch of bad guys. It was a very hard game. I've only ever beaten it once because that's how hard it is. And I consider myself to be a pretty damn good gamer. Number 8, Double Dragon 2. Number 7, The Legend of Zelda. Whoa, what? Colin, you said you never played The Legend of Zelda as a kid. You're goddamn right I didn't. I played it as a teenager. For the first time ever. I played The Legend of Zelda with my other older brother named Kyle. Loved him to death too. That crazy bastard. But I never owned The Legend of Zelda, but he brought it over. I was like 14, 15, and we played it together. Mostly me because he had already beaten it before, so it was mostly me. Yes, I'm scratching down there in a video. Excuse me. Yeah, I psyched you out there, didn't I, viewers? You thought it was The Legend of Zelda wasn't going to be on the list because I said I had never played it as a kid, but I had played it as a teen, and I beat it, and I've only played it once, and the one time I played it, I beat it, and it was great. It was a great game, and it was my number. That's why it's my number 7. Number 6, Kirby's Adventure. Who doesn't love Kirby? He's a little pink puff ball that I just want to just eat up, which is ironic because that's what he does in his games. He eats up enemies and gains their abilities, and it's fun as hell. Easy. Kirby is the type of game. It's Kirby games are always easy. They're very, very easy. So Kirby is the type of game that you want to play when you just don't want a challenge. You just want to sit back and relax and have fun. You know, like The Legend of Zelda is, kind of hard. So you have to think and you have to try. But Kirby, it's fucking easy. it's easy. So, but sometimes easy games are fun games. Just because it's not hard doesn't mean it's not fun. I enjoy tough, challenging games like Shovel Knight that had the perfect amount of difficulty, or Mega Man X, or even Super Mario World. But sometimes it's nice to take a break and play an easy game and just sit back and relax and enjoy how easy and fun it is. And even though it's so easy, it's fun. But anyways, number 6, Kirby's Adventure. Number 5, the original Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is my favorite series of all time, by far. That's all I need to say. The reason why Final Fantasy, the original, isn't number 1 is because Final Fantasy didn't start getting good until around Final Fantasy. Most fans would say 4, but out of all the Final Fantasies, the only Final Fantasy I'd never played is 4. Ironically. But most fans would say Final Fantasy started really getting good at 6. And then, I don't even say about Final Fantasy 7. Many people consider Final Fantasy 7 the best game of all time, including me. I'm one of those people. I think it's one of the greatest games of all time, and one of the few games I'd give a 10 out of 10. But I'm getting off track. The original Final Fantasy is definitely good for its time, but there's better games, obviously, but I still love it. Even to this day, I love it. But Yeah, Final Fantasy. The original Final Fantasy is number 5. And God, Final Fantasy 2, the real Final Fantasy 2, not Final Fantasy 4, because Final Fantasy 2, anyways, the real Final Fantasy 2 is the worst Final Fantasy. This is the second worst, but it's still that goddamn fun to make it on the list. Anyways, I need to throw it, I forgot. Number 4. This is the other one, Shane. God damn. I dropped you so many hints. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project is my number 4 game. Well, it says it all in the title. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the coolest thing ever for kids and teenagers in the 80s and early 90s. Who didn't like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? My mom likes the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My great-grandmother loves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And on top of that, it's such a fun beat-em-up game. It's another one of those games where you just go left from right and just take out a bunch of foot soldiers. The bosses are fun. You get to fight all the bosses from the shows like Rocksteady, Bebop, Slash, Crane, and of course Shredder and Super Shredder. And I feel like this is the most surprising one. Some people don't even put this in their top 10 at all. So I feel like me putting it at number 4 might surprise some people, but it is my 4th favorite NES game. Number 3, Contra. Do I need to say why Contra is number 3? It's phenomenal. I almost put it at number 2, to be honest, and I almost put what number 2 is at number 3. I almost want to call them tied. I really just don't have to say anything about Contra. You know about Contra. You know why it's number 3. So let's move on. You do. It's amazing. Number 2, Castlevania, the original Castlevania. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, wasn't bad, but it was not good at all. So, and Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, or whatever it's called, I never played. If I had, maybe that would be on this, but I played the original, and I love the hell out of it. And it's one of the hardest NES games ever, and I've beaten it about 10 times. And while we're on the topic of hard NES games, which NES games have some of the hardest games ever, Ghosts and Goblins. I've beaten that game 2 times, I think, or 3 times in my life. And if you know anything about Ghosts and Goblins, I think Watch Mojo had it at like number 4 of the top 10, in their top 10 hardest games of all time. And I've beaten it 2 times. I'm bragging, yes. But anyways, Castlevania, just like with Contra, I don't need to explain. The controls were perfect. Some people say they aren't, but go watch Ego Raptor's video. Aaron Hansen, Sequelitis. I agree with everything he says about Castlevania 1. Just go watch that. That's basically what I want to say. Anyways, number 1 video game, my favorite game on the original Nintendo, the NES, is of course the legendary Ghostbusters. 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 Is this a joke? I love Ghostbusters. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. Thanks, AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd. I didn't even know this game existed until the Angry Video Game Nerd did a review on it, or did an episode on it. Like, I think it was like episode 15. And that was such a funny joke, Colin. Good job. Anyways, the real number 1, of course, is Super Mario Brothers 3. Super Mario Brothers 3, baby! By far the number 1 best NES title. By far. By far. Not even close. Castlevania, the number 2. Contra, number 3. Contra's number 3 and it's great. But it's not even close to this. Super Mario Bros. 3. Love you so much. Love you so much. You're my favorite NES game ever. Alright, that's a little weird. Anyways, that was my top 10 NES games. Hope you enjoyed, you motherfuckers. No, but seriously, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. All my 91 subscribers, I love you. And please like and subscribe.